What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of OneFourthCareers podcast. I'm your host, Xavier, and I'm here with Tehran. Tehran graduated from KennesawStateUniversity with a Bachelor of Business Administration and Accounting in 2021. Tehran went on to author a book titled Mindset Shift, 9 Transformational Principles to Help You Become an Unstoppable Leader in Business and in Life. You can purchase a copy digitally or physically on Amazon. So go support my boy. Tehran also worked as a finance and M&A consultant. Now, Tehran is a finance manager over AI and cloud strategy and investments at Microsoft. Tehran is also the founder and CEO at the Future Executives Initiative, Inc. Tehran, what is going on, my guy? Thank you so much for joining, brother.
No, I appreciate you having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see you, and I love the hat.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. It's up, bro. I'm excited to have you on. We connected recently through some additional, some other affiliated programming and things of that nature, man. But immediately, hit it right off, bro. Very like-minded. Admire you a lot from a distance, but as we're getting even closer, bro, learning more about you, and especially the things you have to share today, I think other people will feel similarly, man. So thank you so much for being here, bro. And other than that, man, how the summer treating you, bro? How everything going?
Yeah, summer is great. Me and my wife, we got back from vacation not too long ago, so that was nice. Family's good. Everything is good.
I love it, man. That's dope, bro. Well, hey, I want to start by talking about your background, man. How'd you get into finance? What do you feel is relevant for people to know about Tehran as well?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's always important for me to go back to like my upbringing because that really shaped me in a lot of ways. So I grew up raised primarily by a single mother, but in a lot of ways, my grandmother acted as my father. She taught me hard work through working on a farm, literally helping raise goats with her. It was hard work, but I actually enjoyed like Saturday mornings, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work with her. We didn't have much. Most of the times we had what we needed. Sometimes we had to be creative about getting what we needed. When I was 12 years old, so my father, he went to prison when I was like 2 or 3 years old. He got out when I was 11, and we got really close over the course of that year. And Labor Day of 2009, we lost him to gun violence. And from that point forward, it kind of spurred me into more of a leadership mindset where I started to take on a leadership role in my family and finding ways to make money through working and entrepreneurship. So I knew I always knew that business was something I was interested in, and because at the time I was too young to get a job at first, so I had to find other ways to make money to help support in my family. And then I came to Kennesaw and was just figuring things out along the way. Most times it was the hard way. I was lucky a lot of times to meet people who they would help me get over a challenge or a hump, and things weren't very simple for me at first at Kennesaw. Had to overcome homelessness at one semester. The following semester, I kind of got a little bit more on my feet. I was living in an extended stay hotel, going to work in the morning, 6:30, get off at 3:30, go straight to class until 9:15 at night. And then eventually I ended up getting student housing. So overall, faced a lot of challenges that really helped shape me, shape my character, want to give back to people, and just want to make an impact on those who are having a hard time figuring out things along the way.
Yes, sir. And man, even though, we really want to help people who are having a hard time finding professional clarity, we also want to help people just in life, man. And I think so much of what you said is inspiring, and I hope people pick that up as the conversation goes, man. So even things that I didn't even know, sorry for a lot of those hardships, but I'm also proud of, what you've been able to overcome. So we'll talk a lot about that, man. And with that being said, you mentioned when you were younger, having an interest in business. I'm curious for our first segment of hitting the step back here, man. I want to know, when you were younger, what did you want to be? Was there anything in particular, or was it just more generally you wanted to get into business?
So at first I wanted to go to the NFL.
Yeah,
So that,
me
that
too.
was like my my first dream.
Yeah.
I started playing football in fourth grade, and that first year I got the Offensive Player of the Year award for my little league team,
Hmm.
and like I knew, and a bunch of people knew, I was just going to the NFL. So that was my initial dream, to go to the NFL. In terms of business, I think that interest developed out of necessity. But as far as what I wanted to be in business specifically, I didn't know.
Yeah. Can identify with the football dreams. I'm sure you were a lot closer than I was. I didn't get no type of award outside of participation, my brother. But that's really cool, man. So back to regular programming, bro. You're currently a finance manager at Microsoft. How would you describe the work that you do, your roles and responsibilities and such?
Yeah. So in my role, I'm charged with strategic planning, and then also conducting competitive analysis against both competitors and suppliers. So I would say my role is really about thinking long term and thinking about ways that opportunities that we have in the marketplace, so that we can position ourselves in the long term, and aligning what we think is possible in the long term with operational business plans, so that we can go out and execute the long term vision, because a long term vision is only as good as your ability to go out and execute it. So I would say that is primarily the focus of my role within finance.
No, that's dope. Microsoft is a big brand. It is a world-renowned brand. And my God, I'm here, helping the company execute really interesting stuff. A lot that goes over my head with that, but appreciate that detailed answer there. So next question I have is, how did you get in with Microsoft? How did you get into that role? What led you to being a finance manager at Microsoft?
Yeah. So this is actually my second role at Microsoft that I'm in currently. I just started this role um, almost 2 months ago now.
Okay.
But getting my first role at Microsoft, I think it was a few things. So something that I've learned that it can't be emphasized enough is relationship building. And like, your career will be limited if you don't focus on building relationships early. I think a lot of early career professionals focus too much on being good individual contributors, and don't spend enough time focused on relationship building. So that is something that I focus on heavily. So I'd say relationship building, and I'll come back to that. The other thing I would say is building a brand for yourself, building your personal brand online, on LinkedIn specifically, because when you reach out to people on LinkedIn, and you've developed somewhat of a brand for yourself, and they can scroll down your LinkedIn and see interesting things about you, things that you've accomplished. What are you passionate about? What is good about your past experiences? You're more likely to get responses from people. Now, I have a belief that you should only reach out to people if you're genuinely interested in them, what they do, and like how you could possibly add value to each other. For me, networking is not a numbers game. Networking is a quality game, and you should really focus on building the most quality network that you can. So far I said relationship building and branding. So I come back to the relationship building piece. So I have a friend that I worked with at my former company, and we built a relationship. We would go play golf, and he actually got let go from his company. And like my first instinct was to do all that I could to help him find a job. And I ended up helping him get 3 interviews at companies. And in the process, I found an opportunity that I thought was good for me. I thought that based on my years of experience, I might have been punching above my weight, But I went for it and I applied for the job, did some networking on LinkedIn, and I got the opportunity. And to close out this answer, going from my first role at Microsoft to my second role was really a function of, again, internal networking, but also volunteering to work on different projects, volunteering to basically do anything I can get my hands on to get exposure across the company.
Yeah.
And the most recent project that I worked on in my former role was with the group that I'm in now, and it led to my current role.
I love that. I love that, man. Networking, quality networking is so important. And then also taking initiative. That's another piece that I kind of took away from how you got into the role you're in now. You took initiative. You were trying to drive value, leave any and every space better than when you first got there, or leaving them better off than when you got there, so to speak. Definitely manifesting that you're in this role for as long as you want to be. So, but I think that's some really important stuff to call out, man. And also on the LinkedIn bit, y'all need to put profile pictures on your LinkedIn, please. Make your LinkedIn page look good when people go, scroll past your profile. I think there are a lot of people who are figuring out how to use LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn could be intimidating to some. So many functions, so many people, and understanding the value of that. And, that's another conversation for another day. But when people are looking at your profile, make it look attractive, as attractive as it can. Not so much the content has to say that you're everything in a bag of chips, but, show that it's put together. Have a nice little bio, something brief, have a profile picture. And I think that's kind of touching on just a little bit of what Teron mentioned. So thank you for bringing that up. That is an amazing point. Next question I have for you: in your finance-oriented roles, being at Microsoft, what are some skills and certifications you've observed that have helped you thrive in your role?
Yeah, I would say for me, when I started my career, I got a degree in accounting. And when you major in accounting, there are two tracks that get talked about heavily. So it's public accounting and doing audit or tax. I chose audit because it was always taught to me as the path that would lead to a broader set of careers. And the mentor told me, you want to make sure you keep as many doors open as you can. So you step through one door, or you're picking between two doors, and you want to make sure you pick the door that has 6 other doors behind it versus the one that has 2 behind it. Mm-hmm. So for me, I started on the audit track, which meant I had to pass the CPA exams, because when you work in a public accounting firm, you can't get promoted past a certain level for the CPA exams. And so I started studying for the CPA exams May 2021, and I had passed all 4 parts by November 2021. And that's helped me across my career in both consulting and in corporate finance, because in consulting, a lot of the consultants early in their career didn't have like a subject matter that they were very familiar with. And so I could add value to different projects because I had accounting as a subject matter that I was very familiar with. And the accounting work is very transferable to like financial planning and analysis work, which is what I'm doing now. And it's valuable because in a lot of instances, people who go straight into finance, they have to rely on the accounting teams to understand how they can represent certain numbers on the financial statement. So I think for me, the CPA has been a point of learning that has helped me make an impact in my career, but it's also just a stamp that shows that, you can get through hard things. So say the CPA, I would also call out that a lot of people in finance roles, they also tend to have the CFA, so Certified Financial Analyst. I think it teaches a lot around like financial modeling and some of the more finance oriented skills. Outside of that, there aren't really any other certifications that I can think of.
Okay. No, hey, that was really rich. I don't even know if I knew a CFA existed. Maybe I did, but I didn't pay attention to it. But that's really cool to know, man. And I think it really speaks to how a CPA for you was an asset. So it's great thinking about credentials, things that can really help you set yourself apart. I think a lot of people who want to show initiative, or people who maybe don't even have those opportunities, you don't really know about those being options for you. And it becomes a lot of, man, if I had known, if I could have went back and did that first, my experience would have went that much more seamless. Or, my mind, my aptitude would have already been stretched or tested, and really primed me for getting into my career. So I think that was dope. Appreciate you sharing that. Now, transitioning from your skills and things that you have, in here, and kind of transitioning to the community that you've had, who are like-minded individuals who maybe are also in the finance industry, accounting areas as well. Are there any programs and associations that you can think of to mention to the audience on if they want to enter similar environments to kind of have similar communities who are like-minded with the same professional goals?
Yeah, I'll speak to the organizations that I've been involved with that I think really made an impact on my career. So when I was in college, I was doing an internship at UPS, and I started meeting people in the internal audit group, which is internal audit is kind of like a subsection of accounting. And like I was sharing my story, and that turned into me giving 2 speeches. One of them was to the entire internal audit department. And as a result of that speech, I got invited to join the Institute of Internal Auditors. So that's the first organization, Atlanta chapter, at their mentorship program by the founder of the mentorship program, which led to him becoming my mentor, and a lot of opportunities were open because of that. And I would argue that I probably wouldn't have started my career at Deloitte without the IIA Atlanta, the mentor that I met through the IIA Atlanta. Another organization that I think like Black professionals within accounting and finance should be heavily involved with is NABA. Just being in NABA, it exposed me to people from all kinds of different companies that are working in accounting and finance. And NABA was where I got exposure to management consulting. And that's what sparked my interest for wanting to go into consulting, because I had no exposure to what consulting and a lot of these career paths were before I graduated. So I'd also call out NABA. And then there's an organization that I joined recently, and it's called the CFO Leadership Council. And essentially, it's a group of emerging CFOs and CFOs where it's like a knowledge sharing cohort. And so we get emails regularly from CFOs with like challenges that they're facing and like the solution to the challenge. And it's like a big knowledge sharing group. So those are 3 organizations that personally impacted me along my journey.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And for people who don't know, CFO is Chief Financial Officer, right? Did I get it right? Okay, cool. Yeah. No, that's really cool. It seems like some really impactful programs you were a part of, some really good environments, and amazing communities. Now, I'm curious about the backgrounds of individuals who are in similar roles as you. Seems like you've interfaced with so many people across so many different companies. How would you describe the background of a lot of those individuals? Maybe some of the degrees that they've carried. I'm curious to see how diverse or how not diverse backgrounds and credentials are for people in similar roles.
Yeah, I would say coming from my role, it's diverse within a subset of finance roles. So what I mean by that is being in my role is what people would call strategic finance. And to get here, I went through accounting and consulting. So you'll see a lot of people who they started and spent a lot of time in accounting being in my role. You'll see people who they worked in consulting and they exited to a finance role, strategic finance role. You'll see investment bankers. So like the CFO of Microsoft, Amy Hood, she was a former investment banker before she came to Microsoft. So investment bankers, in many cases, will come and work in strategic corporate finance and become CFOs. Also take Mark Mason, the Black CFO at Citibank. He was an investment banker and is now the CFO of Citibank. A lot of some people from like private equity roles, they'll take on roles within portfolio companies in corporate finance and as CFOs. And so those are some of the most common paths that I see: accounting, consulting, investment banking, sometimes like private equity roles lead to strategic finance and ultimately CFO.
No, I love that. And I really asked that question, man. I know, at least for me personally, I don't know if I was just the odd man out or unique in the way that I was approaching my career, but being a mechanical engineer, I thought there's nothing I can do except mechanical engineering, as I approached graduation. So it was really profound to me at the time to learn about, oh, I can go do this, this, or this. So I think it's always exciting when people with similar backgrounds as yours have more of an idea of, oh, I can go do a lot of different things. Or if they are in any of those areas you called out, knowing that I can maybe go transition to a particular company and be in this particular role that may differ from where I'm at now. So that was really insightful. Didn't know that myself, but it's really cool to kind of know the various backgrounds people can come from.
And I would say, to your point, it's powerful for people to know the answer to these kinds of questions because it allows them to, and as early as possible, because it allows them to take a step back and really think about, what do I want to do from a whole slate of opportunities that I can go into. And it might help them figure out the exact role and the exact career path, the exact industry that they want to go into the first try. So I think it's important for that reason. And then they'll be able to map out, like I said, a plan that can be executed. So I think it's a great question you asked.
Knowledge is power, my brother. Now, with that being said, as we talk about knowledge and we talk about, the timeliness of when people are able to get it, trying to get it to them a little bit sooner. If you think back to your career path, what would be some advice that you would go back and give yourself to better prepare for this role, for the workforce, for life? I'm curious to see what kind of gems you would share with yourself.
Yeah, I would say for me, I would tell myself to be more patient. But then in some ways, I wouldn't tell myself that, because I think me being impatient in some ways, I have a sense of urgency to like get stuff done.
That's right.
But I would say patience might have removed some roadblocks for me along the way. Like for instance, when it was, I think it was spring 2017, I was interested in business. I wanted to take on opportunities to get closer to running a business. And I took on an internship called Student Painters at the time. And it was a sales internship. I didn't have any sales experience, so I wasn't necessarily ready for that opportunity. And as a result of me taking on that internship, where like there was a big time commitment on top of school, that ended up causing me to lose my student housing in the first place, which ultimately led me to being homeless. And at the time, I would say additional pressure was there for me to make as much money as I can as soon as possible, so I can send money to help my family through challenges that they were seeing. So I would say just being more patient with yourself and realizing that sometimes it's better to think about the long-term plan and sacrifice what you think you want in the moment. Because if I hadn't focused on trying to get a big opportunity to make a lot of money at that time and just kind of took a step back, slowed down a little bit, I would have had more success in school and probably landing internships earlier than I did. So that's why I say probably patience for me, but also consistently evaluating the long-term vision and not reacting to challenges and circumstances that you might be facing at that specific point in time.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that openness and transparency, man. Um, Now I'm curious about kind of the leveling that you've observed in the industry in accounting and finance. How would you describe the levels as you're in an entry position? What the career pathway looks like for someone if they're expecting to get into a similar role or on a similar career path? Is it very vertical where it's like you go from this to the next? At any point, are there an array of options that a person can take on? For those out there who aren't familiar with what it looks like once you're inside and the path you can take, how would you describe that?
Yeah. So I'll focus on the finance function broadly because Microsoft is unique in like the way it's organized and structured, and you
Okay.
won't see many companies structured the same way.
Mhm.
So generally in like the corporate finance function, you start off as financial analyst, and then you go senior financial analyst, and then you have the manager level. So manager, senior manager, director. Some organizations you might go straight to a VP. Other organizations you go senior director, then VP, senior vice president, and then the CFO would be the top of the chain within the finance
Okay.
function. A lot of finance functions. You have M&A teams, so teams that are integrating um, companies that are being acquired, even doing target screening on those companies. You have more business focused finance teams within the organization. So working with the organization on a monthly basis to execute operational plans. You have central finance teams that manage reporting across the entire company.
Mm.
So those are the typical levels and just a few examples of like different areas within a finance function that a person can get involved in.
Okay, I feel like walking away from this conversation, I might have like my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, but I'm gonna have a minor in finance. Like my guy out here giving y'all the lay of the land, man. I think that's super helpful. Perfect timing for the next segment, man. So I'm trying to see. This segment is called Three Piece. Now, we both from the South, my brother, and we like to eat. So when we talk about getting the three piece, man, right now I want to consume some of the knowledge and some of the words that you have for me. I want you to give me a three piece, three words that would describe your career journey so far. I'm
Yeah.
excited for this. I need you to let me know.
Yeah. I would say three words for my career journey. The first one is definitely unexpected. Um,
Okay.
so unexpected, I would say exciting, um, and I would say people.
All right. I love that. Unexpected, um, uh,
Exciting and people.
exciting, and then people. I
Yeah,
love that. I love that. Cool,
yeah,
man. So something else I really want to know: who or what inspires you? And that could be at work, that could be in life, whatever it is. I'm curious to know.
yeah. I would say the thing that has inspired me the longest has been my family. So my approach to success and life has been that like it's bigger than me. And when you think about things as bigger than you really always have a source to keep pushing through whatever challenge it is. Cause
Yeah.
a lot of times we can give up on ourselves easier than we can give up on a cause that's greater than ourselves. And so in some of my lowest moments, knowing that I was working towards a purpose in life, not only for me, not only for my family, but for the world as a whole, was what kept me going. So I say my family, and wanted to reposition where my family was in life. I'll say that really inspired me. I will say I'm inspired by entrepreneurs who they see a problem and they take an immense amount of action to go and solve them. So one entrepreneur that I am inspired by is his name is R. Donahue Peoples, and real estate mogul. Started from scratch, built a huge real estate empire. Um, I'll say I'm inspired by him for his ability to lean into relationships and just through work ethic, build such a big empire for himself and his family and his community.
I love that. I love that, man. Also curious about, how would you describe your long-term goals?
Yeah, I would say for me, I do want to eventually lean in the direction of someone like R. Donahue Peebles, who inspires me. I want to create a company that will empower the next generation of leaders, give them access to every opportunity that they can have access to. And I think partly what that looks like is expansion of the foundation that I started, which we give scholarships to students, because a lot of times students aren't able to focus as much as they would like to on schoolwork, because they're thinking about, how am I going to pay my rent this month? So removing those barriers. So I'd like to see the foundation grow, but I'd also like to start my own company eventually to make an impact.
I know you'll do it too, man. Handing out a lot of impact to the community. Really admire that and appreciate you sharing it on this platform, man.
Of course.
You already kind of touched on some of the things you got going on. I know it's a longer list than that. So I want to provide this space, man. What else do you have going on? What can you share with the people?
Yeah. So I do have another book coming out soon.
Hey.
Hopefully it'll be impactful on those who are the first at something, because being the first at something is always challenging. You have to make decisions not knowing right from left sometimes. It's like being the first is like, walking through a dark tunnel and you can't really see where you're going sometimes. So you have to trust your instincts, your intuition, voices that, are helping to guide you along the way. And so I hope with this next book, we can provide some clarity that will help people who are the first at whatever they're the first at. You might be the first in your family to work in the field that you work in. You might be the first in your family to buy a house. You might be the first in your family to live in a certain state. Everyone has their own first, and we want to empower you to be courageous in your first and just persevere in it, stand in it, and come out on the other side and inspire other people who were first at something to do the same thing.
Remarkable, man. You got a pre-order link yet? If you don't, it's all right. We'll come back and put it in the description. But
not yet. But they can follow my LinkedIn, Teron Reagan. It'll be posted on LinkedIn soon.
Okay. You guys can find links to his social and his first book below in the description. Go support my guy. Just know that by you supporting him, you are supporting so many other people who he is working to impact. So appreciate y'all for doing that, man. That's beautiful, man. Appreciate you sharing other things that you got going on. Really admirable initiatives. I know it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to pour into these things, but I do believe that the more you give and the more you pour into other people, that will come back onto you tenfold. So I can't wait to see you, just like your mentor, Mr. Peoples, out there creating an empire and everything, man. And, what I want to provide the space for you to leave people with before we close the pod is, do you have any other remarks, tips, anything else that you can share with those viewers before we head out?
Yeah. So thinking about people who are like trying to navigate their careers and early on, mainly, and just trying to find ways where they can make an impact and they can stand out in the workplace. A few things that I would encourage them to do is have a one-page PowerPoint slide that, it has a nice headshot. It has a summary of your professional experiences so far, but then also add the personal element to it and use that slide when you're introducing yourself in networking meetings and job interviews as a way for you to instantly stand out amongst the crowd. And then I would also say something that we can all do in our roles specifically. And this is thinking from a leadership perspective and like, what are your leaders what are some challenges that you can solve for your leaders to help enable scale in the organization? So something that I do in every role that I go into is I take all of the resources that were provided to me to learn the roles, the notes I take, what people teach me about the role, and I consolidate that into one PowerPoint slide deck. And the aim of that is, one, to organize your own thoughts, make sure you have everything captured about this role that you're going into in one place so you can vet it with your stakeholders and make sure you have an understanding of it and start off that role in the best way possible. But at the same time, you're enabling scale within your organization because you're making it easier for those who come behind you to quickly get up to speed on that role. So essentially doing this exercise, you're thinking like a CEO and working your way out of roles, because there are these pieces of intellectual capital, I'll call it, that can help others get up to speed. And so an organization can be more comfortable moving people around because they know, Tehran built 10 documents that is going to help us train people and get them up to speed on roles much more quickly. And we won't have to worry about the ramp up period being as long and helping people execute on day one. So I'll say those are two tactical things that I do that can really help people navigating their careers early on.
That is dope, man. Again, speaking to the initiative, you could tell my guy got that dog in him. He got that hunger to just drive impact, man. So yeah, that's crazy, bro. Honestly, drop the mic after that. I appreciate you sharing that. I think the people will appreciate that too. Y'all show some love with the likes. Y'all show loves with the comments. Hit him up, connect with Tehran and at least be connected with what he has going on. I'm gonna have to go cop that book too, for sure. Just as much as you've taught me in this conversation, man, as a peer, bro, I appreciate you. I'm proud of you, man, and want to give you your flowers for everything that you've overcome in your career and in life, man, to still have that mentality, that mindset of wanting to make other people's lives better for that next generation. I'm just excited to see all the success you have ahead of you, man. And I'm just happy to be a part of that journey. So I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate the openness, the transparency. I think that there will be so many people who can relate and connect with you in some of your experiences, and letting them know that, there's a lot of success ahead of them if they're willing to work hard, they're willing to look out for other people, take initiative, and continue to stay hungry for knowledge, man. So this was a blessing for me, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Blessing for me too. Really appreciate you having me, and continue making the impact that you're making.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, we about to go up next week in Cali, man. I'm excited to see you, bro. We're going to have to break some bread.
I'm excited to see you too.
Yes, sir. All right, my guy. I'm going to talk to you later.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming to watch another episode. Really appreciate y'all stopping by, consuming the information, the content. Please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification button. Thank you for your support. Check us out on different social media platforms, IG, Twitter, TikTok. And I hope that this content was able to pour into your life as much as it was into mine. And yeah, always leave you guys with stay happy, stay blessed. Peace.